An article in Physician Practice just caught my eye. 24% of medical groups saw their patient collections decrease last year. We all know that high deductible health plans are now more and more common. So how do we make sure that revenue doesn't get tied up in patient balances?
Welcome to NatRevMD, a podcast where we share tips on optimizing medical billing and improving practice efficiency so you can have the business of your dreams. I'm your host, Dr. Heather Signorelli, founder of NatRevMD. Let's get started.
Today, we're going to talk about those 9 strategies. So there is some good news, right? There are strategies that you can put into place to manage patient accounts receivable. And I'm telling you, just sending patient paper statements or even emails and text messages can't be the only thing that you do in order to manage patient AR. So today we're going to talk about the things that help you collect more faster with fewer angry phone calls. And we're going to break those down into 9 specific actionable strategies you can implement in your practice today. All right. So the first thing that I'd like to have as one of our steps is for us to stop apologizing for providing a professional service and asking for payment. So I do think this is an important piece because I think for some reason in healthcare, and I know we all went to medical school, we are seeing and helping patients because truly that's what we want to do and we want to help others. But we don't ask for payment up front, feel like it's our fault when they do get a bill, even though it's coming from the insurance company. We're afraid to charge for things we don't know what we can charge for. And I think just the whole premise around mindset to being there to collect the money that you're owed is this very, it's a struggle, right? And I think part of it probably comes from the fact that we all believe that everybody deserves healthcare, which is absolutely the case. And some people struggle to pay for healthcare. Again, we know that that's a scenario that happens, but at the end of the day, folks are going into a grocery store and paying for food before walking out the store with them. Legal counsel requires retainers and, hefty hourly bill charges. And so we should be no different, again, with the premise around how do we collect the money that you're owed? And so I want us to start shifting away from just this, well, we're just going to send invoices and hope that people pay, and truly capturing some of this money up front. And really just this isn't negotiable when it comes to managing your practice because otherwise the practice isn't going to be sustainable. So that's number 1, right? Number 1, we're going to not apologize for the fact that we are owed certain money when it comes to folks' healthcare. It is not our responsibility what the patient has to pay, right? That's between them and the insurance company. You are truly just the intermediary. So strategy number 2, right? So we've done our eligibility checks. We identify patients who have high deductible plans, and we've identified that they have not met deductible. So I do really think that shifting towards, collecting, obviously at the time of service, not even just, hey, we're going to collect if you owe a deductible, but maybe even collecting a small deposit, when you know that patient is going to have some sort of patient responsibility. Preventative visits, Medicare, there are going to be some clear things that you're not going to collect for, right? Medicaid patients, obviously, but Medicare patients who you're doing, truly 100% covered services. But anything outside of that, especially for those patients with high deductibles, you need to be collecting something. And if you can't figure out what, I see a lot of practices struggle with, well, what do I collect? Copays are typically listed, right? So you know how to collect those. But having a deposit where you say, okay, for E&M visits, we're going to collect $75. A small in-office procedure, we're going to collect $150. For, additional procedures or ultrasounds or whatever, we're going to collect this. That's not a bad way to go if you have a good refund process. And so that refund process has to be something that you spell out within your front desk, and we'll talk about that next. But collecting at the time of service or even beforehand is my recommendation. And we recently talked to a practice who is actually calling patients ahead of time. So when they do their schedule reminder, and they can do this automated or by actually having a human, they actually send the deposit link for them to schedule that payment before the patient even walks in the door. So they're collecting those deposits ahead of time. So they're sending out emails, they're letting folks know that this is their policy and procedure, that they're doing deposits if you have a deductible plan, they're doing copays up front, and they will not see patients unless all of that money is collected up front. Balances that are due are collected up front. And again, all of this is automated through their software so that the patients are getting these reminders ahead of time. And that should be just part of your process. And I see so many practices afraid to have that conversation, or the front desk is nervous to have this conversation. So that's where automation of these tools can be really, really helpful, is that you do that through a messaging software that then links the place to go pay for that service before they even walk in the door. Obviously, then your front desk is having to have less of those conversations. Granted, they can still have some of those conversations, and they need to be able to know how to do that. So that's strategy number 2. Strategy number 3, obviously make it easy to pay, right? So you're going to want to have options for credit card on file, an online payment portal. Again, that text to pay that we just talked about. The more friction you remove, the higher your collection rate is going to be. And again, just in that same kind of principle, you're also going to want to have an easy refund option. So some credit card processors allow you to push a button where you can refund, and you can actually type in the overage amount that you want to refund. Others make it really more complicated. You have to refund the entire amount and then recharge something. You'll want to work with your credit card processor. And again, you want these credit card processing systems to be integrated to your practice management software. So if a patient can't pay the full balance, you need to be able to have an immediate payment plan with credit card on file as your only other option. If they can't pay, they shouldn't be seen. And I know that's harsh in a world of healthcare, but as I'm seeing more and more practices really struggle with patient AR, I really just don't think there's another option. We just can't sustain healthcare without having these processes and just not feeling bad about it. As you guys know, we do have a margin playbook that kind of goes over some of these patient AR strategies. We'll have the link in the show notes. It's natrevmd.com/margin-playbook. And that kind of goes over a lot of the things we're talking about today. All right, strategy number 4, obviously using automated tools, whether that's eligibility or text messages, text to pay, reminders about scheduling appointments. Your staff shouldn't be guessing about this information and when to do it and having to do manual phone calls. Really, modern practice management systems have real-time eligibility verification tools. They need to go in there, use those. Obviously, if they fail, they need to have a backup plan with regards to phone calls or payer portals. But then identifying a patient responsibility, again, having that deposit list of, okay, here are the CPTs that, we're going to, or that I should say the types of appointments that we're going to charge a deposit for. Here's the criteria. Have a little workflow diagram that says, okay, if they have a copay, we collect copay. If they have a deductible not met, we collect these deposits per appointment type. And all of that should be automated within your system to send reminders per appointment type. Again, many practice management softwares offer this. There are also some patient communication tools that offer this. There are different ways to do this, and we've got to be using technology to do that so that it's not this awkward conversation just with your front desk staff. Number 5 is implementing card on file policy. Game changer here. There are some setup requirements that you need to go through in order to be able to be compliant for this. Work with your credit card processor. They're the ones who help set this up, and then get that process automated within your practice management software. So it guarantees payment for any remaining balances after the insurance has been paid. And it's standard practice in many other industries, and it just should be in yours as well. All right. Strategy number 6, have scripts for financial conversations for your front office staff. So you can use AI. We've got templates if you need them. We're actually going to be re-releasing all of our updated templates for front desk staff, for eligibility processes, basically like from start to finish process for your and that is going to be on the school platforms. If you head over to our website, natrevmd.com, and you go to resources, you can go onto the billing course and check out school. We have a free version that's going to be the legacy videos, no policies and templates. Then the upgraded premium version going to shows all the new policies and templates. So we'll be releasing those over the next couple of weeks. So we have, again, that standard tier, a premium tier, and then VIP. Both of those will come with policies and templates and everything. We're going to be releasing about 20 different courses that are all updated one every couple weeks. And so this will enable you to use those templates and train your front desk staff. And so scripts and things are going to be part of that. Even if you don't use our resources, you'll want to create a front desk script so that they can be used to having financial conversations with obviously empathy and professionalism, but also with the premise that they're not going to be seen unless they've paid. So, strategy number 7, offer flexible payment plans. So obviously larger balances, a payment plan can be a big help for patients. If you're able to do that, that's a great way to kind of meet patients in the middle. And you'll just want to use a system that automates that so that your staff doesn't have to chase down money, ideally with an ACH versus a credit card, because credit cards can be canceled. And then you're, again, back chasing down that patient. So just some tips on that. All right, strategy number 8 is you'll want to have a workflow for what happens when a patient is past due and have that be standardized, right? So is that a phone call? Are there statement messages that get sent out? You know, if it's 90 days or 100 days past due, do you send a pre-collections letter? And then do you have a collection agency that you use? Again, policy and procedure for this, whatever it is, it just needs to be standardized. As much of it be automated as possible, and that you're letting patients know ahead of time what this process is so that they are signing that financial agreement. And last, track your front desk collections metrics. So obviously we all know what gets measured gets managed. And so you should be tracking your time of service collection rates as a KPI for your front desk staff. So you'll want to set goals, incentives with your team so that you hit those. Not all practice management softwares offer this in an easy way, but I would recommend meeting with them to understand what your options are to pull this type of metric. Again, just identifying, okay, I have patients that I'm seeing today. How many of those had either a copay or a deductible collected, or how many of those had balances that were collected or that remained uncollected, and what was the reason why, right? Did you still see a patient who had a balance, and why did you do that? So again, just 9 quick tips for your office so that you can continue to collect on that patient AR in spite of the fact that we know that high deductible plans are becoming more and more common. So obviously, to recap, right? Be confident in the fact that you deserve to get paid for the work you're doing. Don't apologize for the money that you're due. It just, there's not many other fields who feel that way. And I feel like we've just got to start changing the narrative around that. Obviously, we want to use technology, keep a card on file, train your front office staff, collect as much upfront as possible, and offer payment plans. And then, as always, standardize your workflow, track your metrics with standardized policies and procedures and KPI dashboards. So hopefully this are some quick tips that you can remind yourself, okay, yes, I've got to do that. I've got to prioritize that this year. Obviously, we're still kind of in that deductible reset mode in the first of the year. And so really, really important to get these down. All right, head on over to natrevmd.com. If you are looking for a new billing team, you can see if you qualify for a metric audit up in the right-hand corner. Have a great weekend.